We are talking about a decade of hurt for so many people, 9/11 families, friends, children who grew up with the specter of terrorism all around them. Dr. Lisa Boesky, she's a child psychologist. She remains with me here in the studio. Joining us via satellite are Diarra White. She is 17 now, but was in the 3rd grade when the U.S. was attacked. And Zach White, also 17, not related to Diarra, and he says he remembers September 11th very well. And back in the studio with me, I've got Joy Slayman, 26. She was a teenager when the world changed almost a decade ago. And you guys, the two out there in New Jersey via satellite, and Joey here, Joey, right? Okay, sort of represent different age groups and how this affected young people. So that's why I've invited you today. I want to start with Diarra and ask how it affected you when it happened, and how has bin Laden's death affected you now?
Well, when 9/11 first happened, I was in 3rd grade, and being that young, I didn't really know much about New York City, and furthermore, not much about the World Trade Center. So when we were told what had happened, my teacher just told us that, you know, 2 important buildings in New York City were knocked down, and at that age, I didn't really think anything of it until students in my class started getting picked up by parents. And my mom is actually a teacher, so I was the last person to be picked up because she had to remain at her school and stay until all of her students were picked up from school. So I was definitely extremely confused and really didn't know what was going on. But now living through, you know, learning more about it and living through all the different 9/11 anniversaries, I think that bin Laden's death is a huge benchmark in the fight against terrorism. And initially, I wasn't sure whether to feel either scared or excited about everything, because I imagine that there will be some serious national and domestic, international and domestic security repercussions. But now I'm a lot more optimistic about it, and I know it's definitely a good start into solving the whole conflict in the Middle East.
Thank you, Diarra. And Joey, excuse me, Zach, do you have a similar sort of experience, or was yours different?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways we were kind of too young when 9/11 happened to really comprehend it and what it meant for our country. We all knew it was a huge event. You know, I had a similar experience in elementary school. And unless you had, you know, a family member directly in it, it didn't influence us as much as it should have. But, you know, through the years, it's kind of dawned on us exactly what we lived through. And bin Laden's death, in a way, is almost our generation's moment, in that, you know, high school students in particular, we really knows what it means, exactly what it means to our country. And for once, you know, in the hallways, instead of talking about Jersey Shore, we're hearing people, regular students, talking about bin Laden. And, you know, it brought a lot of patriotism to our schools, and that's something we haven't seen much of.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Now, you know what I remember, Joey, I'm going to talk to you about this next. You're a different, sort of further along, and I'm sure it affected you differently. But what I remember on that day, amongst many other emotions, I remember my kids were in 3rd grade. They're the same as these guys. And I remember getting in the car and saying to them, they were 8 years old, and I said, the world is never going to be the same for you. And this is something that you're going to be living. I'll never forget that. I sat in the car. They don't remember it. They don't remember it amazingly, because I've asked them. But I sort of teared up, and I still get very emotional when I think about it, because the world changed for my kids on that day. Now, you were older. You were maybe 17 when it happened?
Yeah, I was 17 when it happened.
So you were these kids' age when it happened.
When it happened.
How did it affect you, and how do you make sense of the bin Laden's death now?
Well, for me, I was just about to start college. I was working a summer job at the time, and college is an interesting time because you're really starting to form your own opinions. You're not being influenced as much by your parents. My parents were very good at explaining things to me and being open and a soundboard for me to talk to about it. But it was really the first time that I had to step up and kind of
Were you
do the
scared
research.
when it happened?
Yeah, I was petrified.
Okay.
I mean,
you were out here.
Angeles.
Those kids were in New Jersey. You were out here and you were scared.
Yeah, I was in Los Angeles, and, you know, you knew that they hit Washington and New York, and then another big city is LA, and I was petrified. I was working at UCLA at the time, and
did you feel like it had changed the world for you?
I didn't know how much it had. I was, you know, around for the Oklahoma City bombing too, and I remember that not happening that much. But yeah, I mean, once we really knew the full scope of what, you know, the planning that went into it, the fact that these weren't just random people and random acts, completely changed the world.
And now, with bin Laden's death, what's your take on that? And do you think you represent your peers?
I wouldn't say that I represent all my peers, but I'm kind of shocked by the media response to it. Everybody seems really excited and happy. And, you know, in college, when all of this stuff was happening, I kind of remember thinking how awful death was. And I think that it goes both ways. I'm surprised that we're celebrating someone's death as much as we are. It seems kind of counterproductive to me. I'm really glad that we got him, and he's a horrible guy, but for me, it just seemed, I can't really wrap my head around the fact that we're as excited about someone else dying.
So are you fearful that we're going to be just like them, so to speak, as I hear a lot of young people saying?
Yeah. I mean, where do you stop? At what point, you know, we got this one guy.
Right, as they say with Hammurabi's law, an eye for an eye leaves everybody blind eventually.
Exactly.
But, you know, so, Dr. Boeske, so I feel ambivalent. I share Joey's ambivalence. I'm surprised that when my kids report to me what kids are feeling at school, it's ambivalence to maybe to unhappiness about this. So what do we do as parents? What are the things that we have to do?
Well, I think parents need to talk to their kids about this, and I think that they need to, if parents are ambivalent, I think they should say that to their kids, that there are nuances that go with killing. We've taught them.
What ages can tolerate those nuances?
Well,
some
that's
kids
the thing. It's developmentally. That's parents' biggest mistake, telling too much to young kids and not enough to teens.
So when can they tolerate the ambivalence? What age?
Well,
approximately.
Oh gosh, like I
16
would say,
to 20?
No, much younger than that. I think even 8 years old, and if you have a mature kid, even 8, to say, you know, we've talked about killing being a bad thing, hurting people is a bad thing, but there are some times when it might be justified. You can talk about self-defense, you can talk about enemies and war, and that this is an example of a very bad man who did a lot of bad things, and we've tried other things to get him. This was the last resort.
Should we be telling my viewers to look up Kohlberg stages of moral development?
I don't think parents need to go that far.
Okay,
I think parents just need to think about their own child and what they can handle. You know, a 6-year-old can be inquisitive and mature. Another 6-year-old might have a lot of fear still. But I think the key is not to say he's dead now and we're so happy and now we're safe. I think we need to tone it down a little bit and to say, you know, we're a moral nation. We like when someone gets their consequences of their actions. But I think we have to be careful not to say things like he was a Muslim and all the Muslims are trying to kill Americans.
Yes, of course.
And I think some parents, they blurt things out, and also not to say, and now we're safe. Because the truth is there may be retaliation. He was symbolic. And it was nice to hear the young people kind of saying it wasn't about his death per se. It's symbolic as Americans, and we feel patriotic. And I think the thing that what parents can have their kids do is write a letter to the Navy SEALs, write a letter to the president of thanks, focus more on the heroes.
We have less than a minute. Is that something they should do tonight? We should tell our kids to do?
I think it would be helpful to focus more on the heroes that got bin Laden, that were there at 9/11, write a letter of thank you to them for keeping us safe as Americans. And that's something that kids can do. They want control. This abstract stuff and talking about this stuff tends to bring up anxiety in kids. They like things to do to make themselves feel better.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Boeske. Thank you, Joey, for being here. I want to thank Tiara and Zach for joining me as well. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And it's okay to be ambivalent. And don't get too caught up in black and white thinking ourselves, because that's actually primitive. The world is a little bit gray, and it's okay to have some ambivalence. Now, remember when you could just walk through an airport? Speaking of terrorism, times have changed. God, it takes a long time to get through security now. So that's coming up next. Are you scared for your kids growing up in a world plagued by terrorism? I'll tell you the right way to handle it when I go on call next. Plus, Jesse James, the man whose epic infidelity humiliated America's sweetheart, Sandra Bullock. He wrote a book about it. It's out tonight. His new fiancée talks exclusively to me.